Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I am diving into the devotional kit Mark Maker from Illustrated Faith. Let's go! All right, so I am excited to get into this devotional. I'm going to just start right at the beginning with the words that Shauna had to write. I think they're just so beautiful. I love the collage. I love just all the things. So this is actually Shauna's, I think, like the intro, and then we get into all the ladies. I like how it's a chance to kind of connect with different people in the community, but we're going to just start right here at the very beginning because I'm always inspired by Shauna Noel and her love of scripture and her love of creativity. And so that's what we're going to get into. I will be documenting in my faith planner. We've just been using this. I have blank pages in here ready to go. And I think we're just going to dive in. So I have a lot of goodies from the kit. I have some paint pulled out. We're going to get a little bit messy and have a lot of fun today. I will link everything that I end up using down below. Otherwise, I'm going to put you all on fast forward. Let's go. All right, so I'm actually starting these pages with prayer journaling. I love that Shauna Noel has this habit of doing kind of a scribbly journal, and then she layers her art over the top of that. And to me, I love the concept of like these hidden prayers, prayers on our heart. And I also love the idea of starting my faith journaling with the prayer. Normally I have that at the end, but hey, let's start the page like that. And so I'm purposely doing ridiculously messy handwriting that's really hard to read. And I'm just scrolling down the page, across the page, and praying all about creativity and thanking God for the creativity He's given me and the way I'm able to use that creativity to bring light into the world. And it's just such an important part of my life. And so I loved starting with the prayer, loved this as the background for these two pages. And then this is where everything starts to go off the rails. So I'm starting here with the paint scraping technique. This is Liquitex acrylic paint. I'm just putting a little bit on the end of like a old gift card, a Starbucks card. This one happens to be a Disney card, and I'm just scraping it down the page. And I wanted it to cover parts of my prayer. I just wanted this kind of messy look. And this is just one of those projects. I always try to be honest when I don't feel like projects are going well. In this one, I was unhappy. I think the gray was a little bit dark for what I was wanting. And so I'm going to keep layering some pinks on. We're going to bring some gold. Eventually I bring in a little bit of white to try to brighten it up. This one, I wanted to turn off the camera. That happens. And that doesn't mean you are not a creative person. It doesn't mean you're not an artistic person. It just means that this one is not quite coming along. Now, what do? I just keep going. That's kind of my whole mentality when I'm working on creative projects. I keep going. There's several different things you can do. You can take a break and come back to these pages at another time, maybe when you're in a different mindset and you'll see it in a different way. I decided I wanted to keep going, and I eventually figured that if I just added enough to the page that it would start to come together. And it kind of does at the end. I'm not going to lie and say that this page felt rescued to me, that it all came together. It did not, in my opinion. I don't love how the page came out, but I do love the process. I love the prayer time. I love the prayer journaling. I love the scripture. I love working with the supplies. I love so much about it. The fact that the final product does not turn out like I wanted to is just one small element. So I put washi tape strips down. That's going to be where I write scripture later on. I really wanted to use this adorable stamp set that came with the kit with all of these like paintbrush tools. I thought it was just adorable. Maybe I could have done just a couple of these. It kind of gets out of hand. I end up doing a lot of them, and it brings more darkness to the page. I think what my issue ended up being is that this page ended up being pretty dark. Normally, I don't necessarily aim for having white space on the page. I don't work with negative space. I like to fill any of my journaling pages. I like to fill my planner pages. I like solid pages. However, I think in this case, maybe that wasn't what I needed to be going for. It just feels a little bit dark to me in the end. I still was able to brighten it up, and you'll kind of see I started out with the right idea. I did the journaling in the background with a gray pen instead of black, knowing that I wanted it to feel a little bit faded into the background. That particular stamp got a little bit off. I smeared the stamp, so now I feel like I'm like making this whole thing worse as I go. As I'm rewatching this, adding the voiceover, I'm just like wanting to tell myself like, stop, don't do it, don't do that. But hey, in the moment, I'm just gonna keep going. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna have fun with it. And it's the process. It's all about the process. And I will say that when you are working with mixed media, this is something you have to be patient with. There's gonna be times it doesn't all work out. Okay, got my 2 pages, not feeling super stoked about it, trying to figure out how can I help this? Well, let's cover parts of it up. There are these gorgeous ephemera pieces. I knew I wanted clusters on the page kind of around where the verses were going to be, so I wanted to pick out some of those. But you know what else I want? Don't want that gray on there anymore, so let's pull out some white. I'm going to start to mix some white onto the page just to brighten it up, cover up that little area, put a little bit more white here and there. But I don't know why I don't put it in the upper right hand corner. I kind of aim not for there. Oops, that's okay. It's all gonna be okay in the end. So added that on. Now let's add on some clusters as soon as I write out the scripture. So the scripture I was focused on was 1 Peter 4:10. It says, just as each one has received a gift, use it to serve others as good stewards of the varied grace of God. 1 Peter 4:10. I wholeheartedly believe that each and every one of us was created with special gifts. I actually wholeheartedly believe that each and every one of us was given the gift of creativity, and that it comes out in different ways. Some of us are creative in the kitchen with recipes. Some of us are creative in writing. Some of us are creative in the way we dress. Some of us are creative in arts and crafts, and some of us are creative in the way we sing. There's all different ways to be creative. And I think at times when we try to label ourselves in a certain way, we start to squash that creativity a little bit. We think, well, I'm serious now. I'm an adult. I don't need to be playing with stickers, or I'm an adult now, or I'm, a professional, so I can't have colorful clothing, or whatever the case is. You start to put these labels, and it starts to squash some of that out of you, which always makes me really sad to think about. And I just think of the label that God gives us, which is the daughter of the one true God, the creator of the universe. And to me, I am made in God's image, and He was the ultimate creator. And so that means that the gift of creativity is within me, whether or not it comes out in a beautiful journaling page, or whether or not it comes out in this like hot mess of a page. It's in there, and it comes out sometimes, and it's not always perfect, but it is special, and it is unique to me. And I love that God has given us all these amazing creative gifts, and that when we bring them together, it brings us closer, and it brings us closer to God. So let's continue as I try to rescue my page. I am covering up portions of the page for sure with some of the fabric that Shauna has that coordinates with the kit. I'm going to kind of create little clusters with the ephemera pieces, and I thought the fabric brought in a lightness, which I think was really important. So I'm actually going to attach all of that with Fabri-Tac, just because I know it'll be really strong in holding the fabric on the page. So we're going to put all of this together. I think it's starting to improve. Like, this is making a turning point for sure. Once I started covering up the page, what is kind of bugging me at this point is the darkness of the scripture. I used a Sharpie to write the scripture because I did want to be able to see it on top of the mixed media craziness that is in the back of it. But it's awfully dark, and it's like highlighting the fact that there's gray, and it's a little much. So let's get these down on the page, and then I'm gonna try kind of a last ditch effort to bring a little bit of lightness into the page, and that's going to be with a jelly roll pen. This is actually something that I have done on multiple occasions in my art journal, and that's just creating little highlights around these letters. It's subtle, I promise. It's not a lot, but it is going to make a difference in bringing just little hints of white around the letters. It makes them pop a little bit more, gives them a highlight, and again, just brings white onto the page, which I think was what this one was lacking. If I'd had a fine tip white paint pen, I probably would have used that. Instead, I just used the jelly roll pen, so it's not quite as vibrant as it maybe could have been, but I think it still makes a difference. It doesn't necessarily show up on camera, but I think it does make a big difference overall in the overall look. So I'm going to add highlights to all of those letters and then a few art marks around the page. At some point on this page, I just embraced abundance and I thought, hey, you know what? The more I put on here, the more there is to look at, the more interesting this page will be. And it kind of brings it together, I guess, in the fact that it's just so over the top and full of all of the things. The last little bit that I'm going to do, of course, because this has the art journal feel, of course I'm going to add splatters because I couldn't not add splatters. And I decided to go with some gold splatters because Shauna talked about her love of all things gold and gold foil that she's really embracing right now. So I wanted to honor that in this entry as well. All right, so let me know what you think of this page. Tell me about a time when you had a journal entry or a faith journal entry that just went awry, and what did you do to rescue it? Did you press on? Did you just celebrate the process, which is what I chose to do in this case? This is still going in my faith planner. This is still going to be something that I reflect on. It still had meaning for me, even if it didn't turn out quite like I wanted it to. I will definitely link all of the supplies that I used down in the description box below, so you can check those out if you're interested. I want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. You guys are a big part of that creative community that I am so very thankful for and that I just thank God for all of the time. If you want to check out the Patreon community and see what we're up to over there, be sure to check the link for that in the description box below. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day, and as always, keep it creative.